What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we have the Great British Pub Culture Explained. I'm ready to hear about British pub culture because I've been in some bars in my days, but I don't know what pub culture is like. I'm sure that's got to be very different. However, before we dive into this pub culture, if you happen to enjoy this video, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and let's dive right in.
One of the great things about England is pubs.
My whole love of journalism and debating came from just observing people in the pub.
The Great British Pub has been the backdrop for debate, conflict, and even love. A place open for all, from geezers to hipsters to ladies' nights out.
We all mix together as one, and that's how it should be.
It is the backbone of British culture.
Go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
So today we're going to explore this fascinating culture. We're going to go through its history,
Good.
its controversies, and whether it's going to survive in the future. This is
It's got
the story
to.
of the Great British Pub.
It's got to survive in the future. It's British pub culture. It's a must survive.
The British have a famous reserve when it comes to being sociable. And everything about the pub is micro-engineered to break down those social barriers and to enable people to talk to each other.
Pub is short for public house, with its origins
Okay.
dating as far back as 43 AD to 410 AD, and it came from the Romans as they occupied Britain. However, pubs as we know them today would really become popular in the Victorian era. They were communal meeting points that typically the working class could go to and enjoy themselves. Pubs fall
Okay.
into a few different categories, and they have changed a lot over the years, but let's start with three basic ones.
Let's do it. Traditional
Firstly,
pub.
you have the traditional pub. These are often housed in like historic British buildings. Typically, there'll be laws and regulations over how you can change the building's exterior as a way to preserve the culture. So this means
That's
there's very
cool.
low ceilings and very low doorways
Oh
because
my
apparently
God.
people were smaller back then. A lot of the interior
I
is made out
see.
of wood. There's wooden beams everywhere. There's usually an open fireplace, and it's designed to feel like a
Ooh.
nice, homely,
That's
cozy living
cool.
room. When it comes to drinks, they'll serve a range of beers, ales, ciders, and they might even offer traditional pub food, which we would call pub grub. Now let's move on to the next pub, and that is the country pub.
And every country village needs a country pub.
Now, as the name suggests, a country pub
Country
is
pub.
far out in the sticks, way away
Oh.
from what they would refer to as city folk. Why this is different
Okay.
from a traditional pub is that traditional pubs can exist in very urban areas.
Yes.
The atmosphere of a traditional pub relies on its surrounding area. It might be a bit more fun, a bit more lively, and there might be, God forbid, young people in there. Whereas the country
I absolutely love that. Traditional British pub. It definitely seems fun. It definitely seems sociable. It definitely seems like, yes, a place where a lot of young people are going to get in there and have an absolute blast of a time. But I think it's really cool. Pub culture. Yeah, the bars I've been in, it's been fun and sociable, but that's like, we aren't like all coming together, maybe for a stranger we don't know or anything, like a bloke we just met that night, and like cheering him on, like, and the entire pub looks like they're cheering him on. I think that's really cool and fun.
country pub is quite the opposite. The country pub is more quiet, more cozy,
Okay.
more chill. It caters to the
Understandable.
locals who will look at outsiders with a little bit of scorn. The locals have typically lived in that town for generations and generations.
And then we got their children's children and their grandchildren, and they still recognise you and still know you. Good night, Miss Page. Good night, Sam. Good night, John. Good night, Teddy.
And then lastly, we can throw in brewery taps. A brewery tap is a pub that's attached to a brewery. They brew a beer on site and they sell it there. And these pubs tend to look a bit more industrial and are more used as
Yeah.
a marketing tool for that beer. But for now,
Okay.
let's get a feel of what it's like to step foot into a traditional pub.
The country pub seemed cool too because it was just like, sometimes as you get older, you just don't have it in you to be all energetic as they are in a traditional pub, all rah rah. No, I think a country pub might be more your seat. And then if you live in the country, you might be more prone to keep to yourself, more prone to be, I guess, an introverted nature. You don't want to, I guess, meet too many outsiders or meet too many new people. So you just like your quiet country pub. There's not going to be a lot of craziness, not going to be a lot of excitement, but you're going to go in and you're going to know everybody in there, right? You're going to be able to talk to everybody in there. Hey, how's it going? How's your son? How's your family? That's very nice as well.
Before we go any further with this video, I want to give a massive shout out to HelloFresh
we're
for
gonna skip the
sponsoring.
sponsor.
HelloFresh is a...
I'll try HelloFresh though. They're not bad. So if you're thinking about it, give it a shot.
to go claim your discount. Anyway, back to the video.
Well, here we go.
Alright, so picture this. It's a Wednesday, you finish work, it was a bit stressful, and so what do? You of course venture down to the pub. Which pub will it be today? Will it be the famous Cock, the Red Lion, the horse's mouth? And so you approach the front door of the pub and you push open the door to be greeted by another door for some reason. There's always these two doors. Instantly you hear Mickey and the boys sat in their usual spot, shouting about some political thing that they read in the Sun. Listen here boys, you know what I'd do if I was in charge, if I was Prime Minister? Yeah, what's that there, Mickey? I'd get the whole lot of them, take them outside and I'd shoot them. Yeah, that's about right, Mickey. In the corner of Mickey's eye, he sees you.
That's about right, Mickey.
The whole table's attention turns. Here comes trouble. You exchange niceties for a couple of seconds and then Mickey, he'll escort you to the bar to go get a drink. These particular gentlemen are who you would refer to as the geezers.
Okay. You trying to wind me up? I ain't trying to wind anyone up. I'm fucking serious.
These are working class lads. They could be anywhere from the age of like 25 to 55 really. Might be a plumber, a sparky, a carpet fitter, you know, proper man's jobs. They're not going to be in the HR department working in diversity and inclusion. Now what's very interesting about the geezer is that the geezer exists within all British men. No matter how middle class you are, whether you shop at M&S or Waitrose, the infectious charisma and energy of the geezer will undoubtedly rub off on you at some point in the night.
And who's that? Well, this is... What's your name?
Love that show.
Steve. He'll be joining us. Why?
Usually around sort of beer 6, maybe 7. You'll leave your table, you head to the toilet, you might wobble there because you're getting a little bit intoxicated. And as you go for a piss, the door will bang wide open, Mickey walks right in, stands next to you, and he turns to you and he says, "You watched the game last night, mate?" To which you'll panic because last night you're at yoga and you need to now come up with a cover story. And so you will reply, "Nah, not me, mate. Missus was having none of it. You know how it is, mate." But this brings us on to our next pub.
Nah, not me, mate. Missus was having none of it. You know how it is, mate. So the geezers, right? Anywhere from 25 to 55, doing some kind of hard labor job. Not going to be in no HR department, none of that. You walk in, they're going to be talking about politics and things of that sort. And after you had 6 or 7 drinks, they going to follow you into the restroom, get up right next to you. And, you know, I don't like that when I'm peeing. Like, hey, it's plenty of stalls, plenty of urines. Pee at a distance away from me. But he get right up to you. Watch the game last night, mate. Okay.
Nah, not me, mate. Missus was having none of it. You know how it is, mate. But this brings us on to our next pub goer, Middle Class Michael.
What a nice
Middle Class Michael.
Yes, it's a lovely pub.
Now, Middle Class Michael, he probably works in IT or marketing or something like that, an office job. He's come from work, so he's wearing his nice smart shirt, but he's undone a button, he's letting loose. He'll be somewhere in his late 20s to 30s. He probably lives in central London or some kind of city. But Michael, too, is welcome into the pub. In fact, all of his friends are welcome to come in and speak at an appropriate volume. Until about his 5th Copperberg, where he starts to find this feeling, this foreign feeling, which is called self-confidence. And he'll start speaking louder and louder until they're throwing up into it.
Oh.
Next up, you have the old boys.
So Middle Class Michael. Middle Class Michael said cool, right? Work in the IT department, come in, right? Talking quietly, voice is low, but he's welcome with all of his friends. And as he continues to drink more, he finds that self-confidence. He gets louder. He gets louder until he's puking his guts out in the bathroom. So we got the geezers and we got Middle Class Michaels. Now we're looking at the old boys. Okay.
These are men from the age of 60 to about really any day prior to their death. They're drinking proper drinks, you know, they're drinking stout, Guinness. They all, of course, dress like farmers. They love Jeremy Clarkson. They hate young people. These are the main demographic of any good country pub.
And we're here in Killarney because we've been invited by a very special character. I hear he's a local legend. Sam, how are you? Good, my dear.
But then you get a few little special guests, such as tourists, who are typically American. They're wearing some bright t-shirt. They've got a bum bag.
Sound about right.
In. And they're saying something about how authentic this place is. It's so clean. It's so British. And then you get families. Oh, I forgot to say you have the alcoholic who sat in a corner murmuring to himself. Pretty sad sight. But then finally
Yeah.
you have one other group that will sometimes show their face in a pub. And that
Who's
is
that?
women.
So much fun.
They saying who sometimes show their face in a pub. And that is women.
Now, what's
They
interesting
having a
about the pub
blast.
is that pre-World War II, to see a woman in a pub was a very rare sight. It was frowned upon. It was a cultural taboo.
Do you object to me being served alongside you here, sir?
I think for myself that the place for women is the saloon bar or the lounge.
It was kind of like that so that husbands and wives could be away from each other, so that men could do men things, say naughty words. But nowadays you get what is called a ladies' night. Now this is the one night that ladies have decided they're going to go to the pub. They've spent 3 months over WhatsApp, organising, arguing, falling out over this night. It's a big night for them. It could be a hen do, a birthday, and they will arrive at the pub dressed in their skin-tight dresses, drinking gin and tonic, holding their purse. They're loud, they're passionate, they're dramatic. You'll have one in the corner crying her eyes out, she's staring at her phone, texting away furiously. Another being kicked out by the bouncers as she vomits over herself.
Oh my gosh.
To see, you know, an image that I'm sure the suffragettes never imagined would happen.
An image I'm sure the suffragettes never imagined that would happen. You got the one texting furiously, crying her eyes out. The one who's vomiting on herself, getting kicked out. But hey, they got them ladies' nights. And I ain't gonna lie, in America, ladies' nights mean it's gonna be a lot of men in there too. Because what brings men out to most places? Women. Especially when you're young. Women. Ladies get in free. Okay. I mean, as a man, it's unfair, but that means it's gonna be more ladies, which means you're gonna get the men customer base as well, because they coming for the women. So I don't know if British pub culture is the same on ladies' nights, but that's how it is in America.
Worse.
Oh my!
The pub is really
That's
a place
insanity.
You with all your mates and you're all having a laugh and you're all doing everything. It seems to be like the catalyst to make a good time.
However, over the years, things have changed a lot.
Now, I'm worried about the closure of pubs.
More than 150 pubs have closed their doors for good in England and Wales.
They face a cost of living crisis head on.
Now look, it's never been easy for pubs when it comes to laws. It's been like this tug of war between the government and pubs for a very long time. And that is for the simple fact that alcohol is a bit troublesome.
Agreed.
In 1552, the Ale House Act was passed, where pubs would be required a license from a local authority in order to be able to sell beer. In 1830, the Beer House Act came along. New laws would pop up, like a legal drinking age. Also, opening hours were pretty tight. But by 1960s, the laws were relaxed somewhat. So from here to about the 2000s, things were flourishing. Having a simple bevy with the boys had evolved. Now you could walk into a pub and there might be things like pool tables, dartboards.
And it's a 5-point round.
You go into any good pub and there will be locals who are insane at pool and darts. They'll come in with their own cases, their own sticks, their own table if they could. And if they get good enough, they can enter professional leagues. They can become professional athletes. I mean, Phil Taylor, for instance, a professional darts player. Look at him, he is your typical pub goer. But look, if darts and pool isn't what you're into, there's something for everyone. You might be...
You spend imagine spending so much time at the pub that you become a professional at darts or pool. That you become an actual professional and go on to win championships. Like, that would be absolutely insane.
You're more into board games. So you go, you grab a board game in this box that looked like it survived World War II, or you could attend a quiz night.
Town of Leicester
quiz night, that's for me.
Of which mass murderer?
But really it would be in 2007 where things would take a massive turn. Where pub culture as we knew it would be gone forever.
A countrywide smoking ban went into effect in the UK on Sunday.
The smoking ban. When smoking ciggies were banned from pubs, this was a major issue in Britain.
Make a place for the smokers and a place for the non-smokers that's segregated off. Not herders out here like bloody prostitutes standing on this corner, which is what you feel like when you're standing here with a cigarette.
I'm not joking, this was as big of a deal
That's
as
crazy.
Brexit, Trump, trans athletes.
So what was it that made this law pass to where they banned smoking inside the pubs? Like, why? I think, like she said, why couldn't you make a place, right, where smokers and then a place for non-smokers? I guess that'd make things a little bit more expensive if you did that. But what was it that made them make this a law in 2007?
And this is where the government had proposed that we were no longer allowed to smoke cigarettes inside of a pub. And there was uproar from landlords to pub goers, where the classic atmosphere of a pub, you know, where you open the door and a plume full of smoke would come out like a dragon's lair, would now be replaced with breathable air. And we couldn't have that. I'm sure it was part
We
of
couldn't
the
have
atmosphere,
that.
But ultimately, the ban passed and you had to go outside and smoke cigarettes. From this point on, traditional pub culture only really got worse and worse. With the rise of social media and home media, people didn't really need to leave the house to get entertainment. On top of this, the younger generation were, God forbid, drinking less. And there's been a constant decline in pubs throughout England since 2000.
Oh, wow.
Yes, boys, how you doing? Are you alright?
Yeah. On top of this, alcohol is easier and cheaper to get a hold of from supermarkets. We
A
as
lot
a society have a
cheaper.
greater variety
A
of things
lot
you can do. You
cheaper.
don't just have to sit in a pub. You could go get a coffee. You could go
Yeah.
for a meal. And so as pubs become less popular and the cost of living goes up, there has been a major decline in pub culture across Britain. But look,
Dang.
it's not all bad news. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that
What's
light
that?
is Wetherspoons.
Today I want to talk about one of the great British institutions, Wetherspoons.
Now, Wetherspoons isn't a traditional pub. It's kind of this pub-bar hybrid. It's like a super chain that exists all across Britain, where it takes our favourite elements of traditional pubs, the way they look, the way they feel, combine that with
Yes.
incredibly cheap beer and food, and it
Love
attracts
that.
a more wider demographic of young people and older people. And I think at this point it's pretty safe to say that Wetherspoons, or Spoons as we abbreviate it to, has kind of become a British institution in and of itself. It's the start of every good night out. It's the place we love to hate, but inside we all have a soft spot for it. It's still got all of the fights, all of the political debates. The owner, Tim Martin, literally did a Brexit tour around Spoons. And it's even got love. Personally, I think as a society, tradition is really important. It's what makes culture so unique and fascinating. It makes people want to come and experience them. So next time you're at your local boozer, grab yourself a pint, take a sip and look around for a second and appreciate everything that's gone in to the Great British Pub. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and watch this video right here.
I think, yeah, I can understand the pub culture, I guess, going down. Like you said, from the younger folk, there's more entertainment out there now. But I think more so, at least when I was going to bars as well, it's just much more expensive to get beer in a bar, or I assume a pub, than at the store. Now, Wetherspoons, he said extremely cheap beers, so it may be just as cheap, but yeah, for me, more so, if I even was going to go to the bar, I'm literally going to be like going in buzzed, highly buzzed, if not drunk already, just because it's so much cheaper from that aspect. And then, but yeah, you don't really need to go to a bar anymore. You don't need to go to a pub anymore. And younger people drinking less, I feel like that's a good thing. Not for pubs, but I feel like that is a good thing. But what do you guys think about this video? Do you think pub culture needs to come back the way it was? Do you think it's over? Because we all know all good things must come to an end. And do you think pub culture is just on the steady decline and that will at some point completely be done for and come to a complete end? I got to hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you happen to enjoy that, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and check out that next one. I'll see you guys there.